And we are live. It is Friday. We have a wonderful guest with Miss Veronica. Veronica, okay, I'm going to get your name right, Veronica, okay?
Okay, let's see
Veronica,
if you can do it.
okay. Veronica Beckwith Del Rosario.
You did? Okay, I'm impressed. I get
Ugh.
Del Rosio usually, but you got all the letters. You nailed it.
Yeah,
10
I
points.
know it.
You're
10
winning.
points. Okay, cool, 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 cool.
Eric is the
Awesome.
best at what he does.
I
He
try.
is.
My man. Thank you, Jason. And as always, we have a wonderful host. Jason Bates is fantastic. Jason, how's it going today for you, brother? Pretty good?
Oh, it's a beautiful day, and to be in real estate, I'm just enjoying life, and the holidays are coming. There's just a whole bunch of reasons to be thankful.
Yes, yes, it is, brother. It really, truly is. And for those who will be in the chat, watching and listening to this wonderful back and forth, I'm going to drop a website into the chat. This website is super cool. It just went live last week. This website is so that those who are Gators, top tier TCs, sub two students, you may want to know where the latest and greatest meetups are happening all over the nation. So we have a website dedicated to that. So if you click on this link that I'm going to put into the chat, it takes you to the website, and then there's meetups happening all over within the community. So it's a fantastic link. Guys, jump on that link. But without any further ado, Veronica, before this, stated she's not nervous. She's going to crush it. She's ready for all these amazing questions.
I don't think I said all that, but okay.
We're gonna have a good time, Veronica. It's our pleasure to have you on here. So you guys have a good one.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Pace Morby's team. It's always an honor and a blessing to be able to do this because there's so many amazing stories out there, and they need to be heard. So, first of all, a little bit about me. My name is Jason Bates. I am a Sub 2 and Gator student as well as a top-tier certified TC. I am CEO and co-owner of Finish Line TC Services. We raise private capital for the buying of RV parks, boutique hotels, vacation type properties. It's just an asset class that we really love. I'm also co-owner of Finish Line TC Services, but we're actually not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Veronica and what she's been doing in the community. So, Veronica, I always like to start off. This is one of my favorite questions to start off with. What were you actually doing before you got into real estate and before you joined the community?
Okay, that's a great question. So I was in full-time ministry. That's what I did before I had my kids. And then once we had kids, I was full-time mom. I kept my kids home after letting them dip into the public school world and actually homeschooled them. So I did a little, businesses on the side. We had a couple different businesses that we were doing just to hustle, but we always knew we wanted to do real estate, and it was just like, how do we get in, right? How do we get our foot in the door? We listened to all the different podcasts, and it was like, okay, I think we can do this, but it was the how that was the hard part. And then we had already bought a couple of properties traditionally, but then when we stumbled upon Sub 2, it was like, boom, like the world just got bigger. It was like, okay, I can see how this is scalable a lot quicker than, trying to save up the 20% and then put that down and then trying to save up. So yeah, we jumped on that, and I got busy listening to all the things, but it's been such a blessing to be part of this community.
So what was the actual trigger that made you decide to go, okay, I'm gonna sign up for this community and be part of this?
Well, let's see. I saw an ad. I saw Pace Morby, and I'm like, okay, this is too good to be true. Like, how could this actually work? And I'm a prove it to me, ask questions kind of a gal. So I did my homework and I listened a ton to all the free stuff. Right? I'm like, let me get as much out of it as I can. Well, it's free because, to get into the community, it costs, but anything that's worth value is going to cost. Right. And so,
yes,
but I was hesitant because I'm like, I don't know this guy. This could be another one of these people promising all these different things. But the more I listened and the more I heard, not just his story and his, what he can offer, but like thousands of people just whose lives were changed because of the program. And And just listening to a lot of the live calls and people calling in, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is where I was 2 years ago, and this is where I am now. And it was like, and then starting to actually understand how it worked, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It's not just a get rich scheme. It's like, oh no, this makes sense. You're helping people who are in a not the best situation. They win and you win and everybody wins. And so it just intrigued me. And like I said, once we finally kind of got what it was all about, we jumped in with 2 feet. It was exciting.
Yeah, those are all great points. I remember it was so next Friday, it was the day after Thanksgiving 2 years ago. I was watching all of Pace's YouTube videos, and that's when I decided there's got to be a better way than going out there, getting conventional loans, get the property, cash flowing, and then move on to the next one. So I definitely feel you there.
Yeah.
So so now let's talk a little bit about your deal. How did you find your deal?
Okay, well, this was an interesting story in that this was my first agent that I had called. And I had mentioned it on the podcast that I prayed before, and I was like, God, please help me not sound like an idiot. That was my prayer every time I called an agent, because truthfully, we went to meetups, and the first meetup we went to, I met Pace, and he was there. He happened to be there that day. We didn't know he was going to be there, but we got a chance to talk to him for a minute, and he's like, take action. I'm like, well, I'm not quite ready. Like, I haven't gone through all the manuals yet, and I haven't dotted on my I's and crossed my T's. And he's like, take action. And I'm like, but I'm not, I had a lot of excuses and a lot of reasons why, I wasn't ready. And even after that, like, I still, I wrote my script out, and then I'd be like, okay, let me see what houses I can find that look like good potential, people to call. And then I'd be like, I'd make my list out, and then I wouldn't call, and then I'd touch up my script a little. I literally danced around it for like a good month or two until finally it was like, if I don't do this, what am I doing? Why did I even buy into this if I'm not going to actually take action? And so I did.
Oh, so you're saying Pace was right the very first time you met him.
Darn it. You can't. It's super duper hard to get a deal when you don't pick up the phone to make the phone calls. So
the odds of getting a deal are astronomically higher if you don't at least talk to somebody.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, right? So so I called this agent, and fully ready for like, hey, she could cuss me out. I don't know. It was great. Like, we talked about Arizona weather and what was going on in the market, and her particular client was not really interested in sub 2. And so I asked her, hey, can I send you an offer anyway, just so you have it in front of you? And, that was just my like next step kind of a thing. And again, all things that were new to me, but I had learned by listening and being part of the community. So I'm like, if they can do it, I'm going to do it, And so I did. I sent her an offer, and it didn't work for her client, but I kept following up with her, every couple of weeks, just like, hey, just wanted to touch base again. And Pace had said in a lot of the things that I listened to that he just has rapport with realtors, and that maybe it doesn't go, it's not a deal this time, but as long as you're building that rapport, it can go somewhere. So that same first agent that I called ended up reaching out to me about 2 months later. And she's like, hey, I have somebody totally different who was a client of mine before, and she is about to go into foreclosure. And she had called this realtor and said, hey, I have to go into foreclosure. I think they were friends or something. And she said, would you want to sub to it? And I'm like, let me think about that for a second. Yeah. Yes. So, so that's kind of how that went down. It was, I don't want to say that it was not without hard work, because there were the calls, but it was a blessing that she actually came to me. But I do think it was just keeping those soft touches along the way, right? Just kind of being the squeaky wheel, but not in a bad way, but just reminding her that I was there.
Right, and that's what's important, right? People forget in real estate we're in the relationship business, and so you knew, okay, I'm not going to get this first deal. That was clear, but I'm going to build this relationship, and something's going to happen. And now it so happens that you got a sub two deal where the seller's in foreclosure, so now you just really save their bacon, right? Because if you go into foreclosure, if you get foreclosed on, you can't even rent an apartment. So being
Right.
able to step in and handle that, but more importantly, that realtor to have a phone number to call to say, "Hey, I built a relationship with somebody. She really knows what she's talking about. She wants to help people out. I'm just going to give it a try." So you gave her more tools in her toolbox so that she could solve that problem for her client. So that's huge.
Yeah, it felt good. The whole transaction felt really good because I ended up talking to the owner, and she was just in a devastating situation. I mean, obviously anyone who's going to go into foreclosure is not in a good situation. And
Yeah,
she had just had a lot of loss, and it was so good to be able to come in there, and instead of having this on her record, for the next almost
yeah,
decade, it's like, let me put money in your hands and have you walk away from this. And she couldn't have been happier. So it really felt like I was helping somebody, and I love to help people. And so it was like, it's like, how great is this that I get to help somebody? And there's also something in it for me. Just that's the cherry on the top,
yeah,
it was
hundred
really
percent.
cool.
I mean, it's always best when everybody wins, not just one or two people. When everybody wins, so that's the clear takeaway here, right? Everybody won in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so what did you end up doing with the property? So it sounds like you bought it subject to you probably paid her arrears
Hmm.
to get her current, and then what did you do with the property?
Well, she, like I said, was dying to get rid of it. Like, she wanted it off her hands. And so we actually had the keys in our hands before it even closed. She's like, go get the keys from my neighbor. My neighbor's going out of town. She lived out of state. And
Hmm.
so she was like, just take this house. And so we went in there. We staged it for a medium term rental. We kept the deal. So we staged
Okay,
it,
there you
and
go.
yeah, within about 4 days we had it rented out after closing. So, and we've been using it ever since as a medium term rental. So it's been great. We had 3 weeks that wasn't rented out in the summer because we were out of the country, and we just kind of let the last tenant leave without touching it. But other than that, it's been completely rented out since the day we closed, 4 days after we closed on it. So it's been
There you go.
awesome.
So other
Yeah.
than furnishing it, you didn't have to do much work on it then, huh?
No, we got the keys and we were like, okay, what are we walking into? You never know.
There
But
you
it
go.
was, I mean, we barely had to, she must have had a cleaner come after because it was in pristine condition. Everything was clean. And yeah, the only thing we had to do was basically change out the locks. But it was, there were bumps along the way in the transaction because she didn't know that she had $8,500 in arrears for her HOA,
Oh,
because yeah, they'd sent something out to all the owners saying that they were going to fix the roof, and they wanted everybody to pitch in $850 for 6 months. Well, she didn't get that because she wasn't living in it. She had it rented out.
oh,
And
gotcha.
so, yeah, and then there were like lawyer fees and, different kinds of fines and stuff on top of that. So it was a big discouragement for her. It was just like one more thing for her, one more reason for
Yeah,
her to be, but when we said, hey, we're going to pay everything, your record's going to be clean, we're going to take care of it all, she couldn't have been happier. So
yeah.
yeah, it was a win.
That is amazing. I love that story. And, Patrick just put a comment in there about how amazing your experience is because I know people that have opposite experiences when it comes to sub twos. And so yours was a phenomenal one where you help someone out and day one you hit the ground running. A lot of these that are in foreclosure or pre foreclosure need some level of work to get it rent ready. And so amazing, absolutely amazing. Thanks for that comment, Patrick. Appreciate that. So, Veronica, tell us how the community was involved. Did you use any sub two students, any Gator students, any top tier TCs?
Yeah, Caleb Christopher, we had reached out to him at one point just to say, hey, I think we have a deal on the pipeline. And then that ended up not working. But when this came up, I reached out to him, and to say he like came along and helped would be such an understatement, because
Yeah.
I literally did exactly what Pace said, and he was like, jump in. And so did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. I had my script. This was my first call I had ever made. So
Yeah.
I knew enough to get through door one. I knew enough to be able to make that call. And then I was like, okay, all I need to know at this point was how and who to reach out to when I get to that
Yeah.
point, right? So I reached out to him, and he had, he has a team, and he had someone call me, and we actually called together the owner, and he helped even just walk her through what the next steps would be, and walk me through it as well, because this was my first experience. And so it's so tremendously helpful. The community was great. I would listen to Closers Cafe every week, and that was such a blessing, because again, you think you kind of know what you want to say, but then you don't really know. You don't know what you don't know, right? So
Right.
hearing them call different, because I was going after no equity, no or low equity homes. So
Right.
to hear them make the phone calls and talk to the agents, and you pick up on little nuances, little things that they would say, and you make it your own. And it's that was huge for me, because again, it's like they were calling the exact person that, I was trying to reach. And
Right.
I mean, there's no way I would have had to deal without the community, because there's so much great. And then just being able to talk to different people who have, and shoot up questions on the Facebook page, and say,
Right.
to that specific group that are in sub 2, and say, hey, this is,
Yeah.
this is a problem with this. Can you help me out? So it's been
Exactly.
great.
Yeah, and that really is the power of community, right? So you said it best. I knew just enough to get through door number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had enough faith in the community that you said, okay, if I got to door number one, someone will help me get to door number two. And so that's what I love most about this community. Phone full of numbers from sub 2, Gator, top tier individuals that I can call any of them up. And then before I finish my sentence, they say, how can I help?
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. And to me, that's, I know Pace offers a course and he's got all the Zooms, but really the value in it, which is you can't put a number on, is that community, is that ability to have anybody at any stage of where their journey is, has just enough expertise to get you where you need to go next.
I completely agree. I mean, there were other things happening up to this first deal going through, and potential things. And there were several people that I was like, who can I call? And like you said, people would be like, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And people I had never even connected with or even met at a meetup. It was just, people were so willing, without anything necessarily even in return, just because they were paying it forward from what they'd gotten. So
exactly. Yep. I remember the handful of people that helped me on day one, and it's like you have that insatiable desire to give back, like you said, to pay it forward, and and they want you to be as successful as you want to be. Sometimes even more. Sometimes they want the success more than you do at times, because sometimes that doubt creeps in, but they're there to remind you that it can be done.
Yeah, I completely agree. It, like you said, that all of the information is amazing, but the community is priceless. I mean, it's absolutely priceless. So you become like who you're around, right?
Exactly. You want to be a better bowler, hang out with bowlers. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
So how would you say sub 2 has impacted your life then?
Well, right out of the gate, I would say it's given me and my family an opportunity just to have a bigger reach than we could have imagined in the real estate world. And also, we have 2 kids, and so we're looking at generational wealth. We're looking at being able to build something that we can pass on to our girls, and so being able to use sub 2 as a tool, and as we're building our real estate portfolio, and just have options that it's not even just buying sub 2. It's, all of the different nuances within sub 2, right? There's so many different creative things, so many different creative ways, so many resources that I mean, before I joined sub 2, I had no idea about. And it just basically has opened so many doors to think that we can do this, and like I said, we want to do this. We want to build so that, my husband can retire from his job, and we have that generational thing already put in place so that, it does go to our children down the road. So we're not just living for right now. We're trying to build something generationally. And I don't think that without the right tools, we would be able to do that. So that's what sub 2 has done for us, for sure.
I love that. So 2025 is around the corner, right? So what's up next for you, Veronica? What's on deck?
Well, we are looking at buying a fourplex right now in California. We've never done that before. We've only done single family homes. So this would be a new one for us. But again, I've been in the community reading different things. I mean, the great thing is a lot of times you don't have to even post a question because it's been posted 5 times already. And then you've got 20 answers on each of them. So again, it's those things where you don't feel equipped to step into that next phase or that next season. But you look around and you're like, I just have to know enough to get here. And then the people around me, we help each other out, right? And if there's someone who is like, I've never made a phone call, I'm like, cool, call me, because I can at least help you with that, right? Like I'm on step 3 of 1,000, and I know there's a lot of people that are way ahead of me. But if I can help somebody with step 1 and 2, then I'd love to do that. So, so looking at that. And, one other thing that's come out of just being able to do the medium term rentals here is one little side thing to the real estate is I found myself really loving the furnishing the homes. And so I'm like, okay, that might be another little side thing that I've been working on, is just a lot of times in this industry, it's like there's the actual real estate side of it, but then I enjoy also the furnishing side of it. So I'm like, and I can do it in a thrifty way. So I love to go in and like the homes that we've done, we have a few medium 3 right now that we're doing. And I furnished them all for, pennies. And so that I kind of like doing that. So that kind of thing. And then, like I said, we're looking at just kind of adding every year, just a few more to our portfolio,
Yeah. Well, here's the cool thing about a fourplex. It's technically still called a single family, so you'll have no problems.
Okay. I love that. Thank you.
Encouragement from you. It doesn't become multifamily until 5 units or more. So I say you can do it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Fourplex will be easy. That's just four units. So
it just means if you have somebody move out, you still have 3 other tenants, and so your mortgage is covered. It's really a good thing.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We like new things, and again, with this community, it feels like there's so much support that, when there's a question or a hiccup or an obstacle, I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to handle this by myself. It's like somebody else has already had this problem. Probably 20 times people have had this problem. So,
true. I'm pretty sure there isn't a problem that hasn't been seen somewhere by somebody.
I agree.
Yeah. So for sure. What would you tell somebody who was on the fence about joining the community?
I would say jump in with 2 feet. I mean, like I said, I did my homework. Do your homework, because there's no nothing wrong with doing your homework and figuring it out. But I danced around it for a minute. I gave myself every reason to not do it and just kind of hesitate. And I mean, I was all in with my heart, but I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if I could do this. And your self-talk matters, right? And so, so once I got past that threshold of hard and just, you know what, I'm going to do something that's very uncomfortable. I'm going to do something that doesn't feel like me. I'm going to do something that, I may get rejected at. That's okay. And that's where the success came. So I would say jump out of your box, of your comfort box, right? And just try it for 90 days. And if you're diligent with it, right, it's not, there's work involved, right? We have to actually pick up the phone and make the calls. But if you're
Right.
consistent, it'll happen. The
Yeah.
consistency is key. So yeah, I would say go for it.
And it wasn't a coincidence that you had doubt and then you met Pace at your first sub two meetup. So
Right.
then you can ask
Yep.
him directly.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I didn't even have to say it. He knew it. Like he could, I was like, well, I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, great. And while you're doing that, pick up the phone. Okay. While you're doing that. And
Yeah.
he was so right though. I mean, it's what, I kind of equate it to like having a baby, you read all the books and you're like, okay,
Mm.
we're ready, but you're just gonna have to actually do it and to
Yeah.
experience it and ride the waves. And again, with having a baby, you're kind of more by yourself, right? Or with your spouse, versus this is with thousands of people that are alongside you
True.
going, okay, I'm cheering you on. And, oh, you have a question with that? I can help you. Oh, you need this, this form is here, and everybody's just there to support each other. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's awesome.
It, it's funny. You buy a television, you get a manual this thick. You get a child, they say good luck.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
But
Yeah. It's no
and
problem.
here's the it, and here's the thing too I've learned is we always make it way harder in our head than it really is. I mean,
Mhm.
we're dancing circles around it. I don't know if I can make a call. What if I say the wrong thing? And then I go, wait a minute. What if I say the right thing? And
Right.
because if one side is true, the opposite has to be true, right? So
Right.
and that's what probably you discovered. You made that first phone call, and you go, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. This was a friendly conversation. I can do
Yeah.
this.
Right. And it was kind of like, what if I say the wrong thing? So what? Like, so I hang up the phone
Exactly.
and I pick it back up and I call the next person. But is
Yeah.
my life going to be over? Is that what
Yeah.
defines who I am? No. So you just kind of got to take those fears and play them out to like worst case scenario. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? They hang up on me, they cuss me out, is that going to stop me and define me? Or am I just going to, keep going? So, and honestly, I never encountered that. People, for the most part, were really pleasant. Did they all want to necessarily do a sub two? Not necessarily, but like we found with this first agent, she
Yeah.
and I were able to stay connected and it paid off. So yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
worth it.
I always just, like I said, I always just flip it on the head. What if I do say the right thing? What if it does turn out right? What if it
Yeah.
is easier than I thought? It it can work both ways. So you might as well do it.
Yes, exactly.
So Patrick says 1,000 pound phone. Yeah, exactly. I can
Yeah.
definitely feel you there.
It gets lighter with every call though, right?
Exactly. I don't know if it gets lighter. Maybe you just get stronger. Maybe that's the thing. You just get layers that the
Yeah.
resistance doesn't even, and even nowadays I have fun with it because I know a lot of times people have resistance, not because what you're saying is wrong, is because what you're saying they don't necessarily understand. And people don't necessarily want to talk about what they don't understand because sometimes they go, wait a minute, am I supposed to know about this? I don't understand what she's saying. Oh, okay. It's not real. It doesn't exist. So a lot of times
Right.
what we do is we end up educating people just so they understand. So that like in your situation, she called you back when she had a client who could really benefit from a subject to purchase. So that's a great example.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times it is just a matter of walking them through. I'm not trying to get something from you. And I usually try and
Yeah.
say, like, hey, this is only if it's good for your client. And, this isn't me trying to get a deal. This is me just offering a
Yeah.
solution, you know?
Exactly. And that's what I tell the realtor from the moment I would get on the phone with them. I said, look, I cannot close this deal without you. So I really, help me help you. How can I explain this in a way that you could take it back to your client as a possible solution?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they let their guard down because then they go, okay, well, this person isn't trying to go around me. They're not trying to do something that is unethical, out of the ordinary. And, they really have my and my client's best interest in mind. So that's worked for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Just that transparency, I think that's that works. Is just, I'm not here to give you a spiel. I just am offering you a tool that could help, because I reached out to a lady yesterday and the house has been on the market for almost a year. And it's like, I know you want to sell that house, you're going to get a nice commission check when you do. So might as well work together, and let's actually present this to your client in a way that makes sense to them, because they want to sell their house as well. So this could be, this could be a win for everybody, but it's a lot of it is crossing the T, dotting the I for them, so they actually understand what they're having to go back and explain.
And kudos to you, right? Because you realize two things. One, you have to risk the relationship. So you got to be able to have the conversation. And two, you have to be vulnerable. So, and you clearly do both of those, which is why you're able to connect so well to these realtors. So again, hats off to you. You're absolutely doing amazing. And I see huge things for you in 2025.
Well, thank you, Jason. I appreciate that.
Of course. So again, you're doing great things, Veronica. You already have done great things. You're in poise now to help people. Where can people find and connect with you?
Best way is just by either email or phone number. So you want me to go ahead and put that on here? We're going to put it in the notes.
Yeah, or a lot of times you can say your number and then Derek will put it in the chat for you.
Sure. It's 480-427-0525, or by email at evinvestmentsaz@gmail.com.
Perfect. That's awesome. Get ready to blow up.
I'd love to help anybody I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This was amazing. I learned a lot. I know the people watching has learned a lot, but more importantly, this gets, archived and put on Facebook and YouTube. So there's a lot of people that are going to be able to hear your story and relate to you. So I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason.
Yes, Veronica. Yes, that was awesome. And Veronica, oh my God, you were just so calm and collective and just like the professional that you are. Thank you so much for being on here with us. You had a good time?
Yes, I appreciate you guys having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Okay. So one more time, Veronica, I want to put this on here slower so that everyone can see it. So they just sits there so that you can get like tons of phone calls. So what's the phone number again, Veronica?
480.
Yep.
427. 0525.
0525. All right. And let me put that for all. It's going to be all platforms so everyone can see that. And I'll put it up there on the screen. For those that are in here, I want you guys to call Veronica, do deals with Veronica. She's amazing in the community. She's doing big things. You definitely have to reach out to this young lady. She's fantastic. And by the way, you said you have daughters. How old are they, Veronica? Your kids?
They are 14 and 16, and they're actually talking about buying their first property. They want to go in with us. So yeah, I'm telling you, that's another thing. Yeah, it's so cool. I've shared with them everything we learned in Sub 2, I share with them, and they're hyped up about it. I mean, my daughter is in college and she's doing business because she wants to get into real estate. And so I'm like, I love it. It's everything we're learning, it's trickling down. So it's such a blessing.
That is amazing. Wow, that generational wealth. You kept saying that earlier. I was listening, generational wealth. And I'm like, oh my God, that is what it's about, like setting them up for success. And that's so beautiful in this community. And I like how you had that wonderful anomaly of a moment by just running into Pace. Pace, it's hard to just catch up with the man, right? I work for the man. It's hard for me to catch up with him, right? So that's so great. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. But everyone in the chat, 480-427-0525, call Veronica. Let's make these deals happen. Veronica, thank you so much for being on here. You're a fantastic guest. And of course, my main man, Jason Bates, the hostess with the most.
I love doing this. It pumps me up and just makes me love this community even more when I didn't think I could love it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's a question here. So yes, Pansy, that phone number is Veronica's phone number. Okay. So yes, reach out to Veronica. It'd be awesome. Let me put the number back up there again. There we go. No pressure, Veronica. Guys. No pressure. You're so welcome. And with that, it's been a great episode. It's been a very, very good episode.